capital of Nebraska is located in downtown Lincoln, and Lincoln is the site of the 1994 Big 8 Women's Gymnastics Championships. And to get things started off, we will take a look at the first rotation. Nebraska will begin the meet on the floor exercise, Oklahoma on the balance beam, Missouri on the vault, and Iowa State on the uneven parallel bars. Oklahoma, the defending champion in this meet, they will begin on the balance beam, and we talked to Oklahoma head coach Becky Buwick about defending her championship in Lincoln.
It's going to be a tough call. Being at home is always an advantage, and Lincoln has, or Nebraska has a very strong team this year. We think that we can challenge them tonight, and we certainly didn't come here to lose.
Teresa McGrath of Oklahoma begins the competition for Becky Buwick on the balance beam, and this is a critical event for the Sooners. She says whether they win or not may be decided right here.
Absolutely. Coach Becky Buwick said that her team has been good on the balance beam, although inconsistent this year. So if they can put together hit routines on every performer, then they have a great chance of winning. So it's very important that this is the first event for them. They will know right away whether or not they're going to be in the hunt for the Big 8 title.
And how much pressure is this for Teresa McGrath, a freshman from Kansas City? She's Oklahoma's first performer.
I would say the tremendous pressure is with this routine. But, you know, head coach Becky Buwick also wanted to be on this event first. They're prepared and ready to go. Now you see her having a little bit of trouble on a difficult move, a side somersault. And one of the reasons there's so much pressure on the balance beam is quite simply it's very easy to fall off of this apparatus. And anytime you fall from the apparatus, of course, you will receive a lower score. So this event is critical from the start to the beginning of the routine all the way throughout. There's a combination of back handsprings through to a full twisting back somersault as a dismount. And so far it looks like head coach is very happy with the beginning.
It's very tough for many teams to start on balance beam. They have their favorite events that they'd like to begin on, and Buwick was nervous about the balance beam. Teresa McGrath gave him a great performance to start things off with.
We'll get a chance to see some of the routine again. Here's the dismount sequence. Good back handspring, immediate back handspring, and a nice lift, a back flip with a full twist. She spotted the landing, and that's a strong finish to a great routine.
And a great start for Oklahoma. We go to the floor exercise and the University of Nebraska. And for the Cornhuskers, it's Martha Jenkins, former Big 8 all-around champion. So Nebraska's starting off this rotation with a pretty good athlete, and they're going to try and get a good score to set the tone for the Cornhuskers.
And the thing about starting on the floor exercise, which is quite a bit different than the balance beam, is you can really let all of your energy out into this event and really get a chance to show the judges your artistic ability as well as your athletic ability.
Martha Jenkins, a junior from Kingwood, Texas. She won the Big 8 all-around title back in 1992, slipped to 6th place last year. Her teammate Jennifer Hawkinson won the all-around championship last year. She's back to defend that title. For Nebraska starting on floor, is that a good spot in the rotation, or would they rather be someplace else to begin things?
I think for Nebraska, they didn't really want to be on the floor exercise, but it's a good event for the team. So best thing they can do is put together their performance and take it from that point on. Now, head coach Dan Kendig knows that Martha Jenkins has been a great performer. She wasn't really listed as one of the favorites in the all-around, but he thinks if she puts together 4 great events, she's going to be right there. So far on her opening tumbling run, things are looking very good. You'll notice the fans really get into the floor exercise. It's probably the favorite event to watch in women's gymnastics. The gymnast performs to music, so they add dance to the routine, and that shows their artistic ability and creative ability. And of course, when you watch the tumbling runs, you see the pure gymnastics talent.
Jenkins has a season best of 9.8 on this event. For Nebraska, this is not their strongest event as a team, just 32nd nationally for the 11th ranked Huskers.
Now we'll see some more tumbling, which is, of course, an important part of the routine along with the dance elements. Nice double twisting backflip. Very strong finish. That is a good start for Nebraska.
And her teammates love her as she gets off the floor. A good start for the Cornhuskers.
We get a chance again to look at the tumbling. You see the good speed as she runs from the corner, round off back handspring, nice high reach. This is a double back somersault, very high landing, and that's what the judges look for. And here is the final tumbling run. And the final tumbling run can be difficult because you expend so much energy during the routine with all the dance and the non-stop elements. But there you have a backflip with a double twist. She did a great job in spotting the landing and sticking her final landing.
Missouri is on the vault to begin the competition, and moments ago this is Lee Hicks of Missouri on the vault.
In a very nice handspring front somersault in the tuck position. She took one step on the landing, but that's a difficult vault. One of the things about the front flip is it's very difficult to see exactly where you are landing.
Iowa State beginning competition on the uneven bars. A lot of things going on here in this meet. Everybody competes at one time. They just simply rotate, and then they do it all again instead of one athlete at a time.
And the athletes competing at the same time is interesting in itself because you as an individual must focus on what you are doing because you hear the floor exercise music in the back and you can hear fans applauding certain performances. You need to completely concentrate on what you are doing.
Again, this is Megan Vernon of Iowa State, a freshman from Maryland.
Nice release moves on the high bar there. That move is called a reverse heck. And I like that, a half turn over the low bar. The thing about the uneven parallel bars is that the gymnast needs to show movements on both of the bars. Typically, they will try to fly from one bar to the other to keep the routine going. And that's a difficult dismount. That's a double twisting flyaway. You saw she landed a little bit low and a little bit crooked. That's going to hurt her score, but that's kind of a unique and difficult dismount.
She had some problems on the landing. How much of a deduction would it have been if she touched her hands?
It's always worse to actually touch her hands, and we could see it here. She's off axis a little bit crooked. When you take a couple of steps and step off the mat, the judge is deducting 1/10 of a point for every step. But if you fall to put your hands down, you're going to lose 5/10 of a point.
All four teams are off to a strong start. We're halfway through the first rotation. We'll come back with more after this on Prime Network. Back to the Bob Devaney Sports Center in Lincoln, Nebraska. First rotation action continues at the 1994 Big Gymnastics Championships. Again, Oklahoma in the first rotation is on the balance beam. Next up is Diane Cushenberry, a sophomore from Tulsa, Oklahoma. We saw the Sooners get off to a strong start with Teresa McGrath. This is the event that head coach Becky Buwick says could make or break her team in its pursuit of a second straight Big 8 championship. Cushenberry is ready.
So it's always very interesting to see Oklahoma here on the balance beam because the event as a team score is so important, and right away we have a problem at the beginning of the routine. That's a difficult mount. It's a complete backflip right onto the balance beam, but her balance was slightly off to her right side, and I'll tell you what, it only takes a very slight miscue in balance to make you fall from the balance beam. Now, as the gymnast competes on the balance beam, they have to show certain requirements in dance elements and tumbling elements, as well as certain pirouettes and leaps. And they have to get all these combinations in within a certain time frame. In fact, they have 1 minute minimum in which to complete their routine. At 1 minute 10 seconds, the judge will give a warning, which is sounded off by a bell. And we may or may not hear that as the competitor goes through the routine. And at 1 minute 20 seconds, they need to be completely finished with the routine. There's a difficult move, a round off, backflip in a laid out position. And there was a full pirouette I mentioned was one of the requirements. There's a problem on the landing of an aerial cartwheel. Again, anytime you fall from the balance beam, you know what's so important is to get back onto the apparatus and finish the routine completely error-free. And so she has had a couple wobbles, which of course is not optimum, but she needs to finish as strongly as possible. And here's the dismount. Now that was very nice. A round-off backflip with one full twist. I think she's a little bit disappointed with the fall during the routine.
We go back to the floor exercise in the University of Nebraska's Jennifer Hawkinson. Last year's Big 8 champion. She's a junior from Boise, Idaho.
She's a very good dancer, and her body positions as she goes from pose to pose are very exact and very elegant, and that's something the judges really like.
She was the Big 8 all-around champion. She was third on this event last year with a 9.8.
I like that tumbling run. She did 1.5 twisting backflip into a front flip with a half twist. And keep in mind, anytime a gymnast combines aerial tumbling movements, that will add to their difficulty and ultimately add to their score. Set up for another tumbling run here. A back handspring, 1.5 twisting backflip to a front 1.25, and she had a little problem on the landing. You could guess that that would be a difficult landing. She landed hard and a little bit out of bounds. It'll cost her a little bit on the score.
Jennifer Hawkinson of the University of Nebraska. Again, we are in the first rotation of the 94 Big 8 championship meet. Hawkinson is expected to compete in the all-around in this meet. Last year she was the champion, but she hasn't been in the all-around all this year because her bar routine has been a little bit under par. So this is a big meet for her. They need some big scores out of her all throughout the night.
And we see this problem tumbling run again. It's a nice move, though. 1.5 twist, front 1.25. Kind of her knees caught on a little bit, caused her to bounce out of bounds. And as she goes out of the area, she will receive a deduction in score. Now we get a chance to see her dismount tumbling pass here. And it combines certain dance elements into a finishing pose.
You see different styles of routines in the floor exercise. Many performers are more dancers, some are more tumblers. Is there a particular characteristic that each team brings that you see out of the head coaches?
Well, it could be each team, but you know, it always goes down to the individual abilities of the athlete. And what's interesting about that is some dance moves are so difficult in themselves that the gymnast is getting their difficulty requirements through their dance elements. And so if that is your strength, you can be completely competitive.
Next up for Nebraska, it's a senior from Oklahoma City, Lori Phillips. Now here's a person that has to come through big for Nebraska because she's one of those athletes that Dan Kendig is looking to make up for Nicole DeVal's absence.
And that may put a little bit of pressure on her, but the team has trained well and she should be ready to go. Very good opening tumbling run, 1.5 twisting backflip into an immediate front flip.
Lori was an all-arounder for Nebraska early on in her career. She's had some injuries and has been primarily a floor exercise specialist this year.
A little bit of front tumbling. She did a front flip with 1.5 twists. Did not quite get completely finished with the 1.5 twist, and I think the judges will take that into note. It appears to be quite the technotronic dance routine here. Getting ready for another tumbling run. 1.5 twisting backflip. Very nice finish.
Dan Kendig, Nebraska's head coach, likes what he sees. So do her Cornhusker teammates. Dan Kendig in his first year at Nebraska, actually his first year as head coach, He was here a couple of years back, actually 11 years ago, as an assistant, as we take a look at the final pass.
And this is a nice tumbling pass. She's doing a back flip, and this is 1.5 twist. What's interesting about that is when you land moving forward, it's very difficult to get your landing perfect.
Lori Phillips with a routine to music of the 90s, trying to give Nebraska its second Big 8 championship during the decade. We're at the 1994 Big 8 Women's Gymnastics Championship. We'll have more action coming up next on Prime Network. Back in Lincoln, Nebraska, on the campus of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, it's the 1994 Big 8 Women's Gymnastics Championships. And after the first rotation, here are the top individual scores. Martha Jenkins, one of the favorites for the all-around championship, a 9.80 on the floor exercise. You see some great scores for the University of Nebraska. The reason why, they set a school record with a 47.80 in the team standings as we take a look at what happened in the first rotation. Nebraska on the floor exercise, again with that big score. Missouri with a 48 even on their event. Oklahoma is in third. Iowa State is fourth. We take a look at the second rotation. Nebraska moves to the vault. Oklahoma is on the floor exercise. Missouri moves to the uneven bars, and Iowa State is on the balance beam. Well, Neal, Oklahoma head coach Becky Buwick has to be a little bit concerned coming out of that first rotation. Her team more than a point down to Nebraska, who set that school record on the floor exercise.
Well, Coach Becky Buwick needed to have a great performance throughout the routines from the Oklahoma gymnasts, and there were some falls. We see a problem right there on the balance beam. And all these little deductions are going to hurt the Oklahoma score. But the thing is, she has prepared her gymnasts. The competition is not over. 3 more events, get solid, get it together, and start hitting routines.
Yeah, they do have 3 more rotations to build that score up. But Nebraska has a good early lead with that 48-70 in the floor exercise. The Cornhuskers move to the vault competition, and this is one of the freshmen that we talked about that has to come through for Nebraska with Nicole Duvall out with that ankle injury. This is Kim DeHaan, a freshman from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Now, to say that she has to pull it out tonight, well, that's kind of an understatement because she's done that, or overstatement. She's done it all year long for Nebraska.
And right here, the first vault, a little bit of a problem as she sat back on her handspring front somersault. And the thing about it is, she'll get another vault. In women's gymnastics, you get 2 attempts at the vaulting horse, and really, they take the top score. So what you can do as a strong competitor is get a little coaching behind you, set your mind straight, and make the necessary adjustments. We'll get a chance to see this first vault again. She's going to do a handspring and a front somersault. And she has nice height and a good tight tuck, but she came out maybe a little bit early and sat backwards, and it pulled her right back. Now this becomes more important because it's the second vault. She can't mess this one up anymore. But she has good speed down the runway, nice height, and a much improved landing.
A little bit of a hop.
Exactly what you look for on the second vault as well.
What you look for in any vault, you want to stay up on your dismount.
That's the first requirement.
Kim DeHaan giving Nebraska a better score on that second attempt.
So we get a chance to see it again. Straight forward into the horse, a strong push out of the shoulders and a nice tight tuck. And this landing is much improved. As you mentioned, she did have to take a step forward, but again, she will take that over the first vault.
Now, we told you earlier that Nebraska, their floor exercise team is not their best. In fact, that's been their worst event this year. Vault is their best event, 10th in the country as a group. So Kim DeHaan, a good start for Nebraska in this second rotation. Now to the uneven bars and Lee Hicks of Missouri.
Again, a great event to watch as you see the gymnasts doing giant swings on the high bar and a quick release into the low bar. And really, the key for Missouri is to just hit routine in and routine out all the way through the lineup. And there's a nice dismount, a double tuck flyaway, great landing.
Lee Hicks, a junior from Crystal Lake, Illinois. An outstanding all-arounder for the Tigers. 5th at this meet a year ago in the all-around.
Here's another look at the dismount. Nice height, a good tuck, and absolutely excellent landing.
Talking now with head coach Jake Jacobson, his 15th year as the head coach of the Missouri Tigers. The only coach Missouri has ever had, and I'll tell you what, he has built a tremendous program down there in Columbia. They have the Cat Classic down there every year, draws as many as 10,000 fans to a women's gymnastics meet. A great proponent of the sport around the country, and he's been around a long time and had a lot of success leading this club to the 1992 Big 8 championship, the only time the Tigers have finished in first at this meet.
And he's been very happy with the team performance this year, their season record being 16-7.
And they are 25th in the country. Iowa State is on the balance beam. This is Megan Wall for the Cyclones. Sophomore from Burnsville, Minnesota. This is one of her specialties. She'll compete on the vault as well for Amy Noneman.
And Iowa State had some very interesting team goals. Number one, to win the competition today, and number two, qualify themselves into the NCAA regional. And the way to do that is hit routines, especially on the balance beam. Get a chance to see the dismount one more time here. There's a round off, back handspring, and a nice reach up into the air, back flip with a full twist.
Iowa State, as Neal mentioned, trying to move into the regionals. Right now, they are ranked 5th in the Central region. Back to the vault and the University of Nebraska's Shelley Bartlett.
There you see the handspring front, you know, a little bit low on the landing, but she works very hard to stay on her feet.
Walking a little bit gingerly, but all smiles now. Next up on the vault for Nebraska, it's Martha Jenkins.
This is a good event for Martha. Now there is some height and power. She did a handspring front. Notice she was in a piked position, which is rotating with her legs straight. The height was excellent, so was the distance traveled from the horse. Get a chance to see that again. Basically, very strong leg power on the run and the jump, and then great push out of the shoulders. Nice height and a very high landing.
Martha Jenkins, the 1993 Big 8 runner-up on this event, scoring a 9.8. And now she readies for her second attempt.
Again, handspring front flip in a pike position, 1 or 2 steps on the landing, but when you over-rotate, it just shows how much power you have as a gymnast.
Almost identical vaults for Martha Jenkins.
And here's a chance to see it again. What a push out of her shoulders. Great rotation, landing up very high. She just needs to put the brakes on a little bit tighter as she lands.
Trying to add to her 9.80 she scored on the floor exercise. We'll await her vault score as we go through the first half of the second rotation. We'll have more gymnastics coming up after this on Prime Network. We're in the second rotation at the 94 Big 8 Women's Gymnastics Championships. This is Chelle Stack of Oklahoma getting ready to perform on the floor exercise. Sophomore from Houston, Texas. A member of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team.
This is a good event for Shelley as well, and it's a strong event for Oklahoma as a team.
Oklahoma with the 15th ranked floor exercise team. And Stack leads the Big 8. She's got a season best of 9.9 on this event.
Very high double back somersault, a little hop on the landing, but it's a good start to the routine. Again, you can always notice different leaps and turns through the air when the gymnast is doing these dance elements. Again, they are gaining difficulty credit on some of those very difficult dance elements. Oh, she stumbled coming out of the corner a little bit, but she picked it up very well. That was a 2.5 twisting backflip into an immediate front flip. Very difficult tumbling run. And I saw her have problems with that in the warm-up, which maybe is why she stumbled going into it, but she actually handled the elements. Getting set for another tumbling pass. And a very strong backflip with the full twist, which isn't a very high difficulty level, but it was done quite well.
Chelle Stack of Oklahoma. Houston native, she trained at the Cypress Gym in Houston under the direction of Bella Karolyi. Also worked out with the likes of Mary Lou Retton and has gained valuable international experience that she brings to the collegiate scene. And they're receiving congratulations from her head coach, Becky Buwick, who, by the way, did coach the U.S. Olympic team, or was an assistant coach with the U.S. Olympic team in 1988.
We're going to get a chance to see this tumbling run again, getting set in the corner, and she's really thinking about this tumbling pass. In fact, she stutter steps there, and I can't believe she was able to go through with it. But look at this. There's 2 1/2 twist backwards into an immediate front flip. That is a difficult tumbling run.
Chelle Stack of Oklahoma. Earlier on the balance beam, it's one of the Mazza triplets from Iowa State. This is Katie Mazza.
Starting off in a nice handstand position. Here we see some of the tumbling elements. Back handspring to an immediate back somersault. Little wobble on the landing. And again, the event is just so important. You need to conserve every single 1/10 of a point in the judges' eyes. So it's very important to not wobble and, of course, not fall. One of the interesting points of the balance beam is a gymnast will work down on the beam, as you saw there, and up above on the feet or on the hands. So you can really put together an interesting combinations of dancing, leaps, and back salto, as we just saw there. Combination of leaps, and you see the arm swinging there, which helped her keep balance to stay on the balance beam, but the judge takes that into account. And here's the dismount sequence, a round-off backflip with a full twist. A very solid dismount. During the routine, there were a couple of wobbles, which will bring the score down just a bit.
And a 9.525 for Katie Mazza on the balance beam. Now to the floor exercise, and Amy Smith of Oklahoma.
Very clean front tumbling run. And an energetic finish.
A freshman for the Sooners from Milwaukee, Oregon. One of the top recruits in the country coming out of high school last year. That was Amy Smith. For Oklahoma, their Floor X team, again, as I mentioned, one of the better teams in the country. And Amy Smith ranked 4th in the conference this year. Her top score, a 9.8, and the Sooners could use a couple of scores like that in this rotation.
Get a chance to see this final tumbling pass again. All forward. Handspring, step out, handspring, front flip with a half twist in a laid out position. Very clean, not incredibly difficult, but very nice finish.
And we'll stay on the floor exercise with the University of Oklahoma. Again, Nebraska is on the vault in the second rotation, Iowa State on the balance beam, and Missouri on the uneven parallel bars. This is Jenny Olson moments ago on the balance beam for Iowa State.
She's a great competitor, one of the favorites on the balance beam, but she had a problem with her aerial cartwheel, took her off the balance beam. That hurt her score and her team's score.
Jenny Olson, one of the favorites for not only the balance beam title, but the all-around championship as well. This is Melissa Griffith of Oklahoma, a sophomore from Portland, competing on the Floor X.
And what an impressive mount. She did a full in, which is a full twisting, double back somersault, a great tumbling move.
Outstanding on the floor exercise, 5th a year ago in this event.
And another very high double back somersault. As you can see, she has some tumbling ability. Very strong, jumps very high, and does some difficult movements. Very nice tumbling run again, a full twisting backflip into an immediate front flip. And the routine is connecting with very nice dance elements, and of course I already mentioned how well she tumbles.
Melissa Griffith of Oklahoma on the floor exercise. A strong performance, all Big 8 on this event a year ago. Again, Oklahoma trailing Nebraska by more than a point after one rotation. They've had a good performance here on this rotation.
Certainly have, and we get a chance here to see this final tumbling pass. Nice high backflip, one full twist, an immediate punch front flip.
The Oklahoma Sooners have won the Big 8 championship 5 times. They've got some ground to make up if they're going to win number 6 in this 20th annual Big 8 championship. As we take a look at our all-around leader, Martha Jenkins of Nebraska. We're halfway through the 94 Big 8 championships. The second half of the meet is coming up next on Prime Network. At the Bob Devaney Sports Center on the campus of UNL, and after 2 rotations, here's how the all-around shapes up.
Well, Martha Jenkins is off to a great start, but keep in mind this is a very strong all-around field, and at the halfway point, anyone can still win this race.
And we take a look at the team standings after 2 rotations. Nebraska strong out of the gate on the floor exercise, continues their momentum, 96-4-0 over Oklahoma. Missouri is in 3rd and Iowa State in 4th. We take a look at the rotation order for the 3rd rotation. Nebraska moves to the uneven bars, Oklahoma on vault, Missouri will move to the balance beam, and Iowa State competes on floor. Diane Cushenberry of Oklahoma beginning things on the vault for the Sooners.
Little problem on the landing. We've been seeing that a little bit tonight. Handspring front somersault, a little short of rotation, which caused her to sit. You can see she doesn't appear to be too happy, but the coach putting his words in there.
And now Becky Buwick adding hers.
And a little coaching from a teammate here. Basically what happens now is we get the second opportunity, and that's what's great for the women gymnastics involved. You get 2 attempts, and if you can put a problem behind you, you can come back and still have the best performance of your life.
Cushenberry, a sophomore from Tulsa. The Sooners coming off an outstanding rotation on the floor exercise. They were able to cut into Nebraska's lead a little bit. In fact, they've posted the best floor X score as a team so far tonight. So they do have some momentum coming into the 3rd rotation.
And much improved. See what the coaching can do for you? Handspring front, great landing there. That's what they're looking for.
And after the advice, now congratulations from her teammates.
Get a chance to see it again. Just more height in the air and a quicker rotation. You can see how much higher her landing is. Very nice landing.
Nebraska in the 3rd rotation is on the uneven bars, and this is Shelley Bartlett. One of the 2 freshmen we told you about earlier in the telecast. 2 freshmen that have to come through for the Cornhuskers tonight.
And a clean mount sequence as she exchanges to the high bar. We see a giant swing with a half pirouette into another giant swing, another pirouette combination, setting up for a release move, a reverse hack, and she did not catch the bar. That's a tough break for what was setting up to be a great uneven bar routine. And what's kind of dynamic about that is that it's exciting to see the release move, and it's somewhat dangerous to see them fall. She came down. They're very well coached, though, in how to handle that landing. Now, what she has to do is get her thoughts together and finish this routine without a break. And it appears that she is going to attempt the release move again so that she receives full credit. And there it is, a reverse hack, and that was done perfectly. And there's an interesting exchange to the low bar. Back up to the high bar. That'll set her up for a dismount sequence. Little problem with the grip. Her hand just slid off the bar. That is somewhat of a freak accident, but nonetheless, it's going to cost her in her overall score. And now she prepares for the dismount, and it's a nice double tuck flyaway, and just a couple unfortunate problems during the routine.
The Huskers struggling a bit in the 3rd rotation on the bars.
get a chance to see this release move again. It's the giant swing to a handstand and a pirouette, which is a nice combination. And she puts this right into her reverse hack, a quick release. She needs to catch just a little distant, and it caused her to crash to the mat. Now afterwards, she was able to mount the bar one more time, set herself up into a giant swing, and prepared to do the release move again. This time the release was a little more exact, and of course the catch was perfect.
And you see the two coaches hustling out of the way.
The coaches really have their work cut out for them as they're preparing to assist the gymnast in case of a possible accident.
Now, if you're Oklahoma, do you see out of the corner of your eye the struggles Nebraska's had on the bars?
I think you do. You know what's going on, and here's their answer to it. Shelley Stack doing a handspring front somersault, done very well.
That taking place while Shelley Bartlett was having the problems on the uneven bars. So Oklahoma continues to have some success on the vault in the third rotation. Bill Dollman and Neal Palmer with you here from the Bob Devaney Sports Center in Lincoln. We move back to Nebraska on the uneven bars.
And look at that release move, called a ginger, as she sailed over the low bar. Done very well. She has done a nice combination of giant swings and release moves during this routine. She's setting up for a dismount. She has great speed. A laid out double back somersault. I love that dismount. Very difficult and done very well.
Joy Taylor of Nebraska answering back for the Cornhuskers. A nice routine for the sophomore from Illinois.
Get a chance to see this dismount again. Great speed on the giant swings. Now she does a double flyaway, but notice her body in a stretched position. And that is something that was taken over from the men's horizontal bar competition, but she has such strength and speed, she is able to do that on the uneven bars.
And we continue on the uneven bars with Nebraska. Following Joy Taylor's performance, this is Kim DeHaan. Again, Nebraska is without its top all-arounder, Nicole Duval of Lincoln. She injured an ankle in the final regular season meet against Iowa State. She's not competing tonight, but she is expected back in the Cornhusker lineup when they begin regional competition in a couple of weeks. That's been a concern for the Cornhuskers. That was kind of an ace in the hole for Nebraska, but the people like Shelley Bartlett, Joy Taylor, and now Kim DeHaan have filled in nicely. And of course, we've seen Martha Jenkins doing a great job as the all-around leader through two events. This again is Kim DeHaan.
Again, we're getting set for the big reverse head release move, done perfectly, and a nice exchange through the low bar. Handstand through a pirouette. Again, a good combination of hand changes. And a double twisting flyaway to a perfect landing. Very clean routine.
And there's a shot of Nicole Duval coming in to give her congratulations. Two solid performances back-to-back for Nebraska as they look for their 10th Big 8 championship.
Here's another look at the routine here. Doing a nice extended giant swing, which sets her up for a flyaway with two twists and a very clean landing.
Nebraska is finishing strong in rotation number 3. We'll have more after this from the Bob Devaney Sports Center in Lincoln. Iowa State is next up on the floor exercise. She's a good one, ranked 3rd in the conference on this event during the '94 season. She's a sophomore from Long Grove, Iowa. Last year, showed some great improvement on this event, and she's been a strong performer during her second collegiate season. Last year, she scored a 9.6 on the floor X. Her best mark this year, a 9.825. Teresa Looney of Iowa State.
Here comes the first tumbling run. Handspring, full twisting front flip, round off back flip. Again, a nice tumbling combination of elements all the way down the tumbling mat.
When we talked to Iowa State head coach Amy Noneman before the meet as to what the goal for Iowa State was after finishing 4th last year, she said, hey, we're coming in to win the meet. A lot of confidence in Ames this year.
And it's a great way to approach your training day in, day out, and your competition. Go to the competition, try to win it. And the way they're trying to accomplish that is through very strong recruiting and just hard work and some dedicated athletics.
And they have some great young talent, like sophomore Teresa Looney, right now on the floor exercise.
Setting herself up for the final tumbling run. Round off back handspring, full twisting backflip. And there's a strong end to a very high energy routine.
That's Teresa Looney of Iowa State finishing up on the floor X. Again, we're in the third rotation of the 94 Big 8 championship meet. Iowa State last year finishing 4th. This year trying to improve on that and also hit a career high, or at least a season high, during the competition. This is Martha Jenkins, our all-around leader after 2 events for Nebraska on the bars. And Nebraska's had some problems, but they've come back with some solid routines the last couple of performances.
And look at the great reverse hack on the high bar. Right back into giant swings and another reverse hack. Very strong combination of difficult release moves. So far, this routine is looking excellent. Right back into the handstand. You see good extended giant work, preparing for a dismount. Great speed, and another double layout to a perfect landing. What a great routine.
And after a slow start on the bars, the Huskers are hot. Martha Jenkins with a solid performance, probably the best of the meet so far.
And you get a chance to see the dismount again. She has great speed on the giant swings. Look at the height and extension. A double layout, very difficult. She made the landing look easy.
Nailed it. Martha Jenkins of Nebraska. Her teammates love that performance as well. A career-high 9-9 score for the Nebraska junior. She was the all-around champion a couple of years ago. She's got her sights set on the title in '94. We go to the vault and the University of Oklahoma. This is Shannon Gilbreth, the defending champion on vault.
And a very nice handspring front flip in a tuck position, a high landing, a step on the landing, but she's quite happy with that performance.
She scored a 9.90 last year in taking the title. She's one of the senior leaders for this Oklahoma club from Renton, Washington. And a 9.725, so not quite up to the standard she set last year, but a good routine nonetheless. And the Sooners cheer on one of their other teammates on the vault. We take a look at Gilbreth. She's a former walk-on. The Oklahoma men had a guy, Daniel Stover, that we saw in the men's competition that walked on, won 4 Big 8 championships. She walked on, also won a Big 8 title. The Sooners, after a tough go on the beam in their first rotation, picked up some momentum on floor exercise, and Becky Buwick urging her team on. They know they've got some work to do, but they were able to pick up some momentum in the middle 2 rotations. We move to the balance beam and the University of Missouri. This is Jen Hillman. Hillman, a sophomore from Overland Park, Kansas, had a great performance last year in the Big 8 Conference meet, finishing in a tie for 2nd behind Tracy Cole of Oklahoma. A 5-way tie last year on this event. She scored a 9.80 in her first Big 8 meet. And she also owns the Missouri school record on the balance beam, scoring a 9.85 earlier this year. And then another shot of Missouri coach Jake Jacobson, 15 years at Missouri. It's great to see the coaches that have been around a while, and Becky Buwick in her 10th or 11th season at Oklahoma, Jake Jacobson in his 15th year. Then we got a couple of newcomers, and Amy Noneman, her 2nd year at Iowa State, and Dan Kendig, his 1st year as a head coach at Nebraska. A good mix amongst the Big 8 Conference coaches. And again, we're awaiting Jen Hillman on the balance beam.
And Jake Jacobson tells us to pay attention to Jen on the balance beam because she is always a threat to score 9.8 or better. Very nice tumbling run. It was really a round-off back handspring, back flip layout, and a step out. And a full pirouette on one foot. I mentioned earlier, one of the things you need to do is a full pirouette requirement. Setting up for some more tumbling. Nice backflip right into a leap element. Again, a very original move, which is one of the ideas about balance beam, is the gymnast has an opportunity to sometimes invent little poses or moves that are really unique to their own performance.
Creativity will get you everywhere in gymnastics.
Very much the key. That was a difficult leap combination, which was a half turn and a split leap combination. Another strong combination of leaps.
We mentioned Oklahoma picking up some momentum against Nebraska. The University of Missouri just right behind the Sooners in third place.
And there's a strong dismount, round off backflip with a full twist.
That's Jen Hillman of Missouri on the balance beam.
Get a chance to see the dismount again. Moving towards the end of the balance beam, round off backflip, one full twist. Took a slight step on the landing.
3 of 4 rotations are in the books here at the 94 Big 8 Championships, and the Cornhuskers of Nebraska, in search of their first Big 8 championship since 1990, are in control. We'll see how it all pans out coming up next on Prime Network. Of all the necessary equipment to a gymnast, the chalk bowl may be the most important. And we take a look at the individual all-around results after 3 rotations, and Martha Jenkins continues her hold on first place.
Well, her uneven bar score of 9.9 did not hurt her chances one bit. And I'll tell you what, the rest of the all-around field really has their work cut out for them.
That was a dynamite routine that gave Nebraska a strong hold on first place after 3 rotations. Oklahoma is now in second, Missouri in third, and Iowa State in fourth. The final rotation looks like this. Nebraska finishes up on the balance beam. Oklahoma moves to the bars. Missouri is on the floor exercise, and Iowa State rounds out the field on vault. We mentioned how much the youth have helped Iowa State's program. They've also gotten some good performances from their seniors, like Jenny Olson, and this is earlier Jenny on the floor exercise.
And here comes the first tumbling run. Handspring front flip in a laid out position with a full twist to an immediate front flip. I love when they do the combination tumbling forward.
Jenny Olson, a senior from Minnesota and one of the 1994 team captains for this Iowa State club. You always need senior leadership.
And a very sharp 1.5 twisting backflips into an immediate front flip. Appears to be very clean and energetic dance. Nice combination movements. So far we've seen some very exciting tumbling as well.
Jenny Olson has had a strong end to the 1994 season. She had a great duel against Nebraska, winning 3 events, including the floor exercise and the all-around, scoring better than a 38.
And there's a dismount, handspring front flip in a laid out position with one full twist and a quick ending pose.
And a nice ending to the 3rd rotation for the Iowa State Cyclones. Jenny Olson, a 9.85 for ISU. That'll put her in title contention for the event title. And now we move to the 4th rotation, and the University of Missouri's Kim Marriott, a senior from Eldon, Missouri.
She's got the big band swing beat going here. And some nice tumbling, round off Arabian front flip.
Heard all kinds of music tonight, from 90s techno pop to the big band sound.
And the gymnast gets to choose that type of music with their coach. And you'll also notice during the routine, the entire mood of the music will change, or the tempo will change, giving them an ability to show 2 types of style and variety to the routine. Here comes another tumbling pass, round off back handspring, full twisting backflip.
Kim Marriott of Missouri. She's been the biggest surprise of the year for the Tigers, and a pleasant one at that for Jake Jacobson. A great start to the fourth and final rotation for the Tigers. Again, Nebraska doing well in the team competition. Missouri has also shown well behind the Huskers and chasing the Oklahoma Sooners. And Kim Marriott will await her score. Again, Missouri won the 1992 Big 8 championship over in Ames, Iowa. That's the only time they've captured the team crown. And this is earlier on the balance beam for Nebraska. This is Christy Camp.
Showing some strength in her handstand and flange position, also showing flexibility with the wide split position. This will set her up for some tumbling. Back handspring, step out, back handspring, back layout, step out. Little problem on the landing there, and that's one of the dangers of the balance beam. Fortunately for her, she's okay. Did not fall off the apparatus, but still counts as a fall.
Christy Camp's a junior from Wisconsin competing for Nebraska. She did not compete in the Big 8 championships a year ago because of a late season knee injury.
And I'll tell you what, she looks strong right now, but when you have a problem on a landing where you straddle the balance beam from a backflip, it could really shake you for the rest of the routine, and then you get a chance to see how strong of a competitor that person is. Right now, she looks great. A back handspring with a quarter turn right into a handstand as she lowered to a straddle L. Very difficult move in terms of strength and balance.
And again, Nebraska with a 1.5 lead coming into the final rotation. That's a good cushion for the Cornhuskers, but Dan Kendig said that the balance beam is a scary way to end the meet just because of the nature of the event.
Well, you know, the balance beam can be a scary event at any point of the routine, and we kind of mentioned that a few times. It just takes such a minor mistake to cause a major break.
This is Chelle Stack of Oklahoma on the uneven bars.
Showing us the nice reverse hack, which has become a popular release move, but a very difficult one at that. And a great exchange to the low bar. Quickly working back up to the high bar. That'll set her up for a dismount sequence. Good extended giant swings. And a double tuck flyaway, perfect landing.
And that has her teammates excited. A good start to the fourth rotation for the Sooners of Oklahoma.
Get a chance to see the dismount again here. She's working a lot of speed through the giant swings. That allows her to get great height in the air, which allows her to just nail the landing.
Shelley Stack of Oklahoma, and we are halfway through the final rotation of the 1994 Big 8 Women's Gymnastics Championships. We'll have the final events coming up right after this.
You loved America's Best. Now only.
The 1994 Big 8 Championships are in the books, and for the second straight year, Nebraska's Jennifer Hawkinson is the all-around champion. And we take a look at the final all-around standings. It's Nebraska's Jennifer Hawkinson, the winner, 38.925.
And what an exciting finish to the all-around competition. Jennifer Hawkinson coming through on the all very difficult balance beam, and it was a tight competition between the gymnasts from Nebraska and Oklahoma.
She leads a trio of Huskers in the top 6 and leads Nebraska to the championship 193.60. Oklahoma finishes in 2nd, Missouri is 3rd, and Iowa State finishes in 4th. So Nebraska wins its first Big 8 championship since 1990, but the 10th in 20 years of Big 8 competition. But not only that, they have the Big 8 Coach of the Year, and I'm with Nebraska head coach Dan Kendig. And Dan, I know you missed Nicole Duval, but you really didn't miss a beat tonight.
We didn't seem to. We had a couple scary moments on a couple of the events, but we kept going. And, you know, Nicole just took on a different role tonight. She was kind of a leader on the sideline. She really was. Kept the team in line, kept the team focused. And, you know, she was just as much a part of this tonight as anybody else, really.
Now, I talked to you before the meet, and you said you were kind of scared starting on floor and ending on beam, but you started strong with a school record and just kept going on right through the meet.
That was probably what got us going. You know, we hit our first event, we went out, we hit the routines, you know, and they felt good, you know, and that's more than anything else, you know. Scores aren't even everything all the time. It's just how they feel about what they're doing in the routines, and it just got us off and running. And then starting on, or ending on beam still was kind of a little shaky with a couple routines, but tell you what, our last two girls, Shelley Bartlett and Joy Taylor, came through, and of course our all-around winner over here did an awesome job, and the three of those scores really helped us out a lot.
Well, Nebraska wins the 1994 team championship, and for the 6th straight year, the best gymnast in the Big 8 is a Nebraska Cornhusker. That's Jennifer Hawkinson, and Neal's with her.
And Jennifer Hawkinson is the Big 8 all-around champion. And I think the uneven bars was a key event for you because it's the first time you competed on this event this year.
Yeah, it was. I've been having some problems with my reverse hex, so I was the last one up on bars, and Dan talked to me, and we decided to take the reverse hex out because we needed the score. So I just did a stout routine.
Well, congratulations to you, Jennifer. Bill, we're with the national Big 8 all-around champion. Back to you.
Jennifer Hawkinson, the 1994 Big 8 all-around champion. 6 straight years Nebraska's had the best gymnast in the Big 8. We'll have a look at the final individual results when we come back to the Bob Devaney Sports Center in Lincoln. Nebraska was in control from start to finish, and at the finish, the Huskers were first. We take a look at the team standings once again. Nebraska impressively topping the 193 mark. Oklahoma finishes second. Missouri is third. Iowa State in fourth. The individual results begin on the uneven bars with Martha Jenkins of Nebraska.
And what an exciting performance here on the uneven bars. Great extension and speed. The dismount, a double layout. Very difficult, great landing.
She was dynamite with a 9.90, a career high for Jenkins as Nebraska sweeps the top 5 places. We move to the vault, and it's Amy Smith of Oklahoma.
And a very strong vault, a handspring front flip with a half twist. That takes great speed and strength. She did a great job.
The 4th straight year that Oklahoma has had the vault champion, Martha Jenkins of Nebraska finishes second with Teresa McGrath. We move to the balance beam, and for Nebraska, it's Shelley Bartlett.
In such a difficult event, Shelley did a great job here. She was able to showcase her talent, which is strength, balance, and style.
One of the freshmen we focused on earlier, Shelley Bartlett, with a season-high 9.90. Nebraska's Jennifer Hawkinson vaults to the all-around championship, finishing in a tie for second. And finally, on the floor exercise, it's another Oklahoman, Melissa Griffith.
And this event is always a favorite with the fans, and we see Melissa here with a great double backflip to end the routine. Great performance.
Melissa Griffith of Oklahoma wins the floor exercise. Katie Mazza of Iowa State and Jenny Olson finish second and third. But once again, it's Nebraska, led by Jennifer Hawkinson in the all-around championship, who takes home the 1994 Big 8 Women's Gymnastics Championship. For Neal Palmer, I'm Bill Dollman. So long, everybody.